Hey, Golfaholics. Welcome to another edition of Back Nine Report. We are happy to be talking tonight with our good friend Mike May from Wellington, Florida, just outside of West Palm Beach. Mike, welcome to Back Nine Report again.
It's a pleasure. Enjoy coming on the air and talking about golf.
A lot of people don't know it, but Mike went to spend his high school years in England, and he got to play a lot of great golf courses over there. And he has since gone back a couple times on golf trips, on media trips, looking at golf courses and playing. And a couple of years ago, he had the opportunity to go through Kent and play Royal St. George's. That had to be a treat.
It was. It was actually one of the best trips that anybody can make. It was a bucket list trip that I was able to make. We played Prince's, Royal St. Port's, as well as a few inland courses. I spent the night in a castle, and that just is sort of a thumbnail sketch. But the creme de la creme round was 18 holes at Royal St. George's in June of 2018. I've spoken about it many times and can't wait to go back.
As you know, the Open Championship will be held this week at Royal St. George's. And that's the reason we're talking to you, Mike, because you're going to give us a little bit of insight onto the golf course. So when people are watching at home, having their breakfast this week on Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday with early morning golf from the south of England, they'll have a little bit better idea about the golf course. And of course, as we know, it's located in Sandwich, which is in the southeastern corner of England, a couple hours outside of London, near the Channel, the English Channel. And so it's one of the older courses down there, right?
It is. Actually, it was designed to be the St. Andrews of the South. It was meant to mimic what they have up in Scotland. Royal St. George's was a regular part of the rotation for years. And then back in the late 40s, there was a big gap to like 1981 or 1980 when it came back, and Bill Rogers from Texas won it. And since then, it's been a regular part of the rotation. It's also hosted 13 British amateurs, a Walker Cup, all sorts of different types of a Curtis Cup has been contested at Royal St. George's. And one thing about Royal St. George's, I expect will have the least amount of rain. Kent is the driest part of England. This is the most southerly location for an Open. So I expect fairly good weather, though the wind will be up because it's off the channel. Though the day I played, it was like 15 miles an hour, 72 degrees, just perfect conditions. We'll see if we have that this week up there in Sandwich.
Mike, being from Ohio, there is a little bit of an Ohio connection with Royal St. George's. Of course, Ben Curtis won his Open Championship at Royal St. George's in 2003. And Jack Nicklaus, as an amateur in 1959, won a 36-hole event there.
It's called the Challenge Cup. Many of the top amateurs around the world have traveled to the Royal St. George's for that event. In fact, Nicklaus's winning card is on display in the clubhouse on the wall. And so the Great Bear is, well, he played a few British Opens there. He didn't win an Open Championship there, but he did win at Royal St. George's.
Royal St. George's has also been immortalized in the movie business. Tell us a little bit about what's the deal with that?
Well, Ian Fleming, the creator of the James Bond series, was a member at Royal St. George's. He lived in Sandwich, and he actually decided that for the movie Goldfinger, there would be a golf scene, and they decided to actually stage it at Royal St. George's. Though it was advertised in the movie, they said Royal St. Mark's. They didn't use the real name of the club for fear of too much, I guess, good publicity, drawing crowds to Royal St. George's. I think they.
Well, we wouldn't want that, stiff upper lip.
I know. Yeah. So it was actually probably a wrong decision because I think Royal St. George's deserved that moment in history. So it's been a scene of a movie for James Bond and Goldfinger, and actually to this day, if you go up into the I think the library, one of the viewing rooms at Royal St. George's, they have paperback copies of all of Ian Fleming's books. And actually, when Ian Fleming died, he was the captain-elect, which is a unique position in British golf clubs. He was the captain-elect at Royal St. George's. So his James Bond may be discussed during the telecast, Goldfinger, when we're watching on NBC this weekend.
course, we all know Tony Jacklin, Jack Nicklaus in the Ryder Cup and the concession, all that stuff. But Tony Jacklin has a place in history at Royal St. George's.
Yes, it's actually the first ever hole-in-one recorded on television. I'm not sure if it's British television or worldwide television, but it was during one of the European PGA Tour events back in the 60s. And Tony's ace was recorded live on TV, and I believe he actually won that tournament that year.
Mike, as you go to a lot of different golf courses, they, like at Augusta, they put different flowering bushes names on the holes and those kind of things. You have some distinctive names at Royal St. George's as well, right?
Yes, they've been creative. I actually don't have a list of all those names handy, but they'll mention it during the telecast coming up. And but there's also certain parts of the golf course. This may be what you were referring to. They have, for example, Duncan's Hollow on 18. They also have the tennis court on the ninth fairway, Valley of Sin on the fourth green, and you'll find the kitchen on the first hole. Duncan's Hollow actually deserves a little mention. It was back in 1921. I believe the Open was contested there. Walter Hagen won, but George Duncan, who won, I believe, the Open in 1920, was coming down the fairway. He needed a par to win. He was short and left of his approach on the 18th hole. His chip was actually taken from a small depression left front of the green. And because of that uncertain lie, his chip up to the flag was relatively short. He missed the putt, and Hagen won by one. So they refer to that little depression as Duncan's Hollow because it caused an unfortunate bogey for George Duncan, who could have won the tournament that year, but Hagen prevailed.
Royal St. George is a little bit quirky. There's some blind shots there. The fairways are quite undulating. The balls roll off into the rough, don't hit the mounds quite right, and take weird bounces. But one of the unique things there is the sand trap. We saw Thomas Bjorn had trouble getting out of the sand when Brent Curtis won back in 2003, a really difficult bunker to get out of right near the green. And then there's the Himalayan bunker as well.
Yes, that's on the front nine. It's, I believe, at the fourth hole. You have to hit over the Himalayan bunker or the Himalaya bunker to get to the fairway. I have to admit, I was able to negotiate successfully the Himalaya bunker, and I didn't find myself in that massive sand trap. So it's with today's players, they shouldn't be too much of a concern. They can hit the ball nice and high, but just the presence of it can cause some players, maybe some inexperienced amateurs, to not hit it as flush and end up in a sandy domain.
If you're there just playing around, Royal St. George's has kind of they have their own take on speeding up play there with what kind of ball you can play.
Yes, actually their tradition is every day of the week, with the exception of Tuesdays, they want two balls in play. So that's either two players playing their own ball or foursomes, which is four people on the golf course, each group with his own alternate shot ball. So that keeps the play moving along at a fairly quick pace. So it's only once a week. It's either Tuesdays or Wednesdays. You can have four balls in play. We call it a foursome. Over there, they call it four ball because it's four players with their own ball. Other days of the week, they just want two balls in play, whether it's two people or four.
So you had a unique experience there. You took a caddy. You recommend that if you do play there, you take a caddy. And your caddy had put a unique challenge to you at the end of the round. Yes,
actually, his name was Gary. I'm sure he's still there. He's had a 50-year affiliation, 50-plus year affiliation with Royal St. George's. That day, I had somewhat of a shaky front nine, but my back nine, I rallied and got up and down a lot with my 8-iron, doing some chip and runs to secure par. But on the 18th hole, it's a par 4, fairly straight away. And Gary came up and gave me my driver and said, "Mike," and he said this very seriously, "Mike, you must get a 4 to win the Open." And I said, "Got it." So there's no mulligans at Royal St. George's. And you're on the 18th tee, and your caddy says you need a 4 to win. Well, by golly, you better get a 4. So I teed it up, and I inhaled and exhaled, and I kept breathing, relaxing, and I just wailed at it and hit it nice and tall and high and straight and down the middle. It was a perfect shot. I gave the driver back to Gary, said, "How's that?" He said, "So far, so good." So we get out to the fairway. I've got about a 6-iron in, hit it fairly flush, a little fat, but square, and it ends up in the front part of the green. I've got about 45 feet to 2-putt. And again, I've got to get a 4 to win the Open, to be considered the champion golfer of the year, to win the Claret Jug. That's how nervous I felt. So I'm lining up that 45-foot putt. It's left to right uphill. I give it a nice stroke, and it's going up the left side. It's breaking back towards the hole. And I'm thinking, that looks pretty good. And then I say, that's looking very good. And it rolls right by the hole, finishes 18 inches away. And there's no gimmies at Royal St. George's. Even though that's a virtual certainty, an 18-inch putt, it looked like 3 feet. So I get behind it, looks fairly straight. And so I just breathe, exhale, inhale, etc. And I bring it right back in a straight line, just as you've taught me. And I hit the ball, look for the spot, and I hear the little noise of the ball in the hole. And I raise my hand in triumph, and I secured the par 4. I got the applause. I had some people walk up. And I felt like the champion golfer of the year, but there was no Claret Jug for me at the end.
Mike, that's a great story. As we watch it on TV, you've given us some great things. Is there one thing in particular that you remember that we should really watch for?
I think you're going to have a lot of blind shots. That's the one thing about Royal St. George's many players don't like. I believe the 6th hole in the front 9 is actually taken over a mound, and you do not see the flag. It's a blind par 3 tee shot, which is rare. This is a tournament where, it's players who are relatively unexpected win, like Darren Clark and Ben Curtis, and you've had players you do expect to win, like Bobby Locke and Greg Norman and Walter Hagen. So don't be surprised if someone very well known wins, like Brooks Koepka or Justin Thomas or an established English player. But I think anyone who's in the field's got a chance, and Ben Curtis proved that in 2003.
Mike, thanks a lot for coming on, chatting with us, Back Nine Report, talking about Royal St. George's. We really enjoy it, man.
A pleasure. Thank you.